waste no time. Let's get into the first topic of the show, and that is, of course, this Terrion Arnold situation. Very, very interesting. You guys know, like I said, we covered this yesterday. You can find the article over on patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 get you access to everything in our community, just a way for you guys to support the channel and us to get you some extra content and whatnot. So we kind of covered the initial thoughts. We played a little audio clip from Pat McAfee show, him kind of giving you some of the details on what happened. Let's talk about the update that came down the pike today. Now, WPEC CBS 12 News tweeted this out earlier today, actually 41 minutes ago, roughly an hour ago now. No bond. Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold appeared in a Florida court in a turtle suit Thursday, where he was denied bond in a kidnapping and armed robbery case. They've got an article put up over there. I've scoured through the internet. All right, what are some of the updates that we've got? If you guys don't know what a turtle suit is, Google it. I'm not going to get into all the details, but it's things have gotten very, very, very serious. As you can see here in the screenshot, everybody else in orange jumpsuits, Terrion Arnold in the turtle suit, right? So let's kind of talk about the background real quick. If you missed the show yesterday, right, what started it all? Arnold and several associates rented an Airbnb in Largo, Florida. While the group was away, the property was burglarized, all right, with losses reported at over $250,000, including roughly $100,000 in cash and attributed to Arnold, along with jewelry and designer items. Now, Arnold suspected his hired private driver, Jan Lopez, if I'm saying that right, along with Daniel Tenesaka, I think is how you say that. Or, yeah, I think it's probably Tenesaka. And Soja Anderson of involvement in the theft. However, investigators say there is no evidence connecting the three men to the burglary. So, again, investigators are saying we can't connect them to this burglary. And obviously Arnold suspected those three individuals as being involved. So Arnold contacted Largo Police around 10 p.m. on February the 3rd to report the stolen items. Hours later, shortly after midnight on February 4th, the alleged kidnapping and robbery took place. Now, this is where the details that have recently been released here, okay? This is really, really interesting. And listen, I'm going to say the names because they're on public record now, right? This is obviously from several news sources. And again, all this stuff is allegedly, okay? It's all alleged. But again, we'll give you the information as we got it. Prosecutors allege Arnold coordinated with co-defendant Bokai Hilton Jr., all right, to direct two women, Ariana Del Valle, who is 18 years old, and Jasmine Randazzo, who's 19 years old, to lure Tenesaka to an apartment in Tampa. So they hired these two girls to lure a guy to the apartment. The women were allegedly instructed to exploit Tenesaka's romantic interest in Randazzo, using the promise of, I won't say this word, you guys can see it on the screen if you're watching, or a romantic encounter to get him to the location. Lopez, the driver, and Anderson accompanied him. All right. Once inside, two other co-defendants, Lindell Hudson II and Christian, if I'm saying that right, Williams, allegedly emerged from a hiding spot armed with a rifle and handgun. The three men were reportedly beaten, pistol whipped, and interrogated for approximately an hour about the suspected stolen property. One victim allegedly had a gun placed in his mouth. All right. The victims were robbed of wallets, phones, jackets, cash, and jewelry valued at approximately $6,260 before escaping in their vehicle and contacting police with visible injuries. So they set these guys up, right? And this is, and Arnold enters the conversation in a second, okay? You set these guys up with two women. All right, look, let's kind of lure them into this apartment, and then boom, two guys jump out of the closet with guns. That's how serious this is. Now you're hearing about the kidnapping, right? And the armed robbery, all those aspects. It's obvious everything's kind of coming into focus. Now, yesterday we were very, very hesitant. Like, everything's still alleged. We don't know all the details, right? However, with all that being said, now everything's kind of coming to light. This is a very, very, very serious situation, obviously. Now, live stream detail. We talked about this a little bit last night. Somebody mentioned he live streamed it. What are we talking about? Here's what we know. One of the two women allegedly live streamed the assault as it was happening, with the footage shared in real time with Arnold, Hilton, and co-defendant Freddie Lee Hughes III as they were en route to the apartment. So this got live streamed. Group chat communications reportedly show Arnold and Hilton, Terrion Arnold and Hilton, actively providing directions and coordination during the assault. So again, it's innocent until proven guilty, but there are group chat communications that seem to be Terrion Arnold allegedly instructing these people what to do in this armed robbery. All right. The two women and their cooperation, Del Valle and Randazzo, have both entered plea agreements with prosecutors and agreed to testify for the state in future proceedings. Randazzo was sentenced to 4 years in Florida prison. Del Valle's sentence is scheduled for a later date. Their cooperation as eyewitnesses to the setup and the events inside the apartment is expected to be a cornerstone of the prosecution's case against Arnold. So you got the two ladies that were involved in this, right? They basically flipped and said, hey, he told us to do this. Here's exactly what happened. They got video evidence of obviously the live stream of everything taking place, as well as group chat interaction, which shows Terrion Arnold kind of leading the charge, I guess you could say, giving instructions and whatnot. Now, Arnold's legal situation and defense, Arnold turned himself in and appeared in court from Falkenberg Road Jail. Prosecutors are seeking to keep him detained pending trial, with his next court date set for Monday. He faces 4 counts of kidnapping, 4 counts of armed robbery, 8 total charges, more than any other co-defendant, because authorities believe he was the primary conspirator who coordinated and directed the entire operation. All right, Arnold's representatives categorically denied all allegations, stating there is no credible evidence linking him to the charges and arguing that the government is relying on testimony from convicted felons who have strong incentives to shift blame to reduce their own sentences. Arnold faces a potential sentence of life in prison if convicted. The Lions released a statement saying they are aware of the situation, but will not comment out of respect for the ongoing legal process. This is absolutely wild. And again, when you hear it on the surface and you heard Arnold's kind of side of the story, it's like, okay, he's trying to get his stuff back that someone else allegedly took from him, that robbed him of up to $250,000. It doesn't make it right. It actually, I mean, we know 2 wrongs don't make a right here. But you can kind of see, man, what if he was put in a situation where he's just, hey, I'm just going to get my stuff back, right? Then you hear all the details coming out of how they kind of set this up to lure someone in to where they could be entrapped, right? They could be technically kidnapped is the term, at gunpoint. Man, this is just, it's absolutely wild. And again, here's the thing about Terrion Arnold. I know several, you guys know I live down here in the South. I live in Tennessee. I'm in the SEC belt, as we call it down here, right? Terrion Arnold was very, very close to Nick Saban. Terrion Arnold was like one of Nick Saban's, his wife's. It's one of his wife's favorite players, I guess you could say, right? They treated him like a son. When you hear Nick Saban's wife talk about Terrion Arnold in the past, like he was invited over for dinner. He would come over and eat dinner with Nick and his wife. Like they kind of took him under his wing. It sounds like he was one of the leaders on that team. He was one of the players that was closest to the Sabans. This is absolutely out of left field. That's why when you hear it, you go, is this really true? I mean, this doesn't sound like the same exact person that was at Alabama. Again, man, money changes people, right? Allegedly, again, we don't know. He may be completely innocent of all these charges, but on the surface, man, this looks absolutely wild. Let's see what everybody else is saying in here in the chat. Joe Mama says Arnold must have just watched The Sopranos or something. And then it's just, you get to the point where it's like, is something premeditated? If he is guilty of this, boy, was this premeditated, right? That's like when you talk about premeditated, premeditatedly harming someone or setting up some kind of scheme. It carries a lot more punishment because it's like you had time to think about it, right? It's not just in the spur of the moment. I reacted, and something horrible happened. In this case, man, it sounds like this was completely planned out, which is wild to think about. United Bates is flipping on him. He may be cooked. Crazy story of events. And again, these are just the latest details that we got here. And I know Bates, you've you are very well versed in this type of stuff, right? I'm sure in your line of not getting into too much detail, with your background, you've seen some crazy things over the years as well. Former military guy and whatnot. On top of that, I did not expect the story to go straight to, you know, this level, this degree of just absolute madness. It's wild, man. Absolutely wild. Jay Sean in the chat, seen straight out of Goodfellas. It really is, man. It really is. So that's the latest we have on Terrion Arnold. You're going, Clayton, this is a Packers channel. Why are you covering this? This is the biggest story in the NFL, maybe sports in general right now. The fact that this took this big of a turn, and again, it's in the NFC North. This directly affects the Packers and their opponent, obviously playing them twice a year. And, you know, I couldn't help but sit here and think, man, kind of culture are we creating in Detroit? We always talked about Dan Campbell being a culture guy, and you got these. I mean, he was just in minicamp the other day, right? Like he was in minicamp a week or two ago. And the fact that, you know, I have a hard time believing that the Packers, if they had done any research, and you go, all right, he's innocent until proven guilty. I get all that. That's all fine and good. But these teams have private investigators working for them, right? Like they do extensive background checks. And listen, Terrion Arnold, to the best of my knowledge, probably cleared all those background checks throughout the draft process and whatnot. But you got to get to a point where you go, there was a literally a live stream of the event taking place, and there's a group chat that shows Terrion Arnold allegedly giving instructions to these folks. Wild to think about. We're going to let this play out in court, obviously, and the whole legal process. I'm curious to know what you guys think on the latest with the Terrion Arnold situation. I don't want to get into a conversation. Is he innocent? Is he guilty? What do you guys think about this, though, man? Let me know in the comments. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, click the bell icon as well. And I'm curious to know how you guys feel, because maybe we're judging too hard on the surface, right? Maybe we're going, hey, look, let's just play out a little bit more. The more information, you know, with the Josh Jacobs situation, which I think we would all agree, very different, right? Very different situation. It doesn't mean one is worse than the other. I'm not going to get into that conversation. But it was like, the second information started coming out, it's like, okay, is there any evidence that this actually happened? There's still been no evidence that was presented for Josh Jacobs. Also, he wasn't even formally charged with anything, right? You get into this situation and they're going, no bond, nope, your butt's staying right here, and put him in the turtle suit just to make sure he doesn't harm himself. Like, wild turn of events. Let us know in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe. Click the bell icon. We greatly appreciate y'all.